This guy's got the chops.
He does. He's excited. We're ready.
Ready?
We're coming to you live from Versailles, Ohio, home of the Poultry Days Festival and the Poultry Days Tournament. And we're bringing you the Columbus Pride versus the Atlanta Soul.
Yeah, Poultry Days Tournament has been going on for 40-plus years here in the great city of Versailles. They've been so welcoming to us every year. Pack the stands every year, and we're going to have a great matchup here to round out the Premier Ultimate League season, the Columbus Pride and the Atlanta Soul.
It's about 81 degrees here today after we've had several days of cooler weather, partially due to the Canadian fires bringing in some smog and smoke into the area. So we're a little warmer today. We've got a little bit of breeze at our backs. I'm not quite sure how it feels on the field right now, but I know it's coming to us through our backs right now. So I think it'll be an interesting game.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I think we're going to have a great game. Like I said, my name is Joey Rains. I'm here alongside Deanna Ball, and we're going to bring you this game. Can't wait.
So the Columbus Pride come into this game currently winless for this season, so 0-5 for the day or for the season so far. And Atlanta's coming in just off of their first victory of the season.
Yeah, so Atlanta's bringing a little bit of momentum into this game after getting that first win, kind of getting that monkey off your back, trying to get that first win. Pride is still looking to get that, but they're both looking to round out the season and end it on a strong note, take this into the offseason and build that into the next year to grow. So I think it'll be a really close, tight game.
And we heard that from both coaches, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
Pre-game we chatted with the coaches, and you know, this is the last game of the season total for the PUL. The championship weekend will be held next weekend. But both of these teams are rebuilding and building programs right now. So to each of these teams, coming out of this night with a victory is super important for them to extend this into the growth of their programs and into the next year.
Yeah, definitely. So we talked a little bit to both the coaches kind of before this. Asked the Pride coaches a little bit how they're going to deal with this atmosphere. So coming out of Poultry Days, for those of you who are not aware of not come out here before, you should. It's a great time. But because it's a great time, it's often a little bit looser, a little bit more fun. So we talked to the coaches, and they said, hey, at least the Pride coaches, these are professionals. This is what they do. This is why they're here. So they're coming in locked in. They're ready to go. fun's over. A lot of them didn't play so much in the party tournament that's going on earlier, so they should all be fresh to go and give us everything they got here on the field.
And that's very similar for the Atlanta squad. Apparently some of them did arrive last night and are rostered on teams for the Poultry Days tournament, but they did not spend their day playing today, that they're focused on this game tonight. So everybody should be fresh and ready to go.
Yep. Pride's going to be missing a big key of their roster. They are going to be without Kat McGuire. However, we did hear from from the Pride coaches that they are looking for a few of them to step into those new roles, including who is their captain today, Maggie Rowell, who is always a consistent option on their offensive line, usually working that middle of the field. So look for her to have a big game on offense here for the Pride.
And for the Atlanta Soul, they're looking for their handler action to come from Emma Jones, and they wanted to make sure we were aware of a couple of their key players on their team that have joined them for this season and have come in from Mexico City, and that's Donnie Cortez and Maria Vargas that are here with them.
Yeah, so we're just finishing up introductions here for the Pride. We're getting right into game time, and we can't wait to have you out.
It's a unique situation here. We learned about half an hour before game time that the scoreboard here at these fields hasn't worked for a number of years. So the score is going to be kept via an app, and the observers will be keeping track of that. And, of course, we'll keep the fans who are watching the live stream as apprised to it as we can.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
There is a scoreboard across the field that they put up for us to visualize as well. So, but
wonderful.
The live scoreboard down at the end of the field is going to stay dark for us today.
Very good.
Did we happen to catch?
It did look like Atlanta won the poll, judging by the excited celebration. I don't know what on the flip rather. I don't know what that flip was for.
We'll see if we can get some information. Or we'll just wait and see who walks out with the disc at their end zone.
Hey,
we'll know who's pulling and which end of the field they're starting on.
Sometimes it's just that easy.
There's some water being poured on the field down at the far end. I'm not sure why.
Well, I know it's been about 4 weeks since we've gotten any meaningful rain here in Ohio, and specifically in this region. So I wouldn't be surprised if this field is a good amount of dirt.
It's a little crisp when we walked across earlier, for sure. I actually heard that some of that Canadian fire smoke was causing the weather patterns through this part of the country to not produce rain. So on top of the smoke, there was no precipitation. Just heard the field announcer recommending everyone go over and get one of those fantastic Poultry Days chicken dinners. We had ours before we went live. It was delicious as usual.
If you're going to come to the Poultry Days tournament, you got to get yourself a chicken.
I did, however, skip the orange drink.
Yeah, that's probably for the best.
All right, we have Atlanta Soul coming out to our right and the Pride to the left. And I see the Observer walking the disc down toward the Pride. So right now I'm going to go with that the Pride are going to start on defense.
And we're going to start today by shouting out one of our sponsors that helps the PUL continue and do what they do, and that is Spin Ultimate. This live broadcast of the Premier Ultimate League is brought to you by Spin Ultimate. Spin Ultimate, providing custom team uniforms and ultimate apparel since 2007. Visit Spin on the web at spinultimate.com.
So we're going to start the first quarter here. The quarters are 12 minutes in length.
It looks like Pride is starting out with Graham Cunningham, looks like Alex Hughes, Emily Evans, Rachel Graber, Maddie Plesky, Corinne Pruitt, and I believe that's Mal Griffin back there.
It's probably
It does this. It
moved
is Mal
right out of the
Griffin.
way, just like on cue.
Perfect.
Pruitt with the pool. And the Soul pick up the disc and send it backwards, but center. Moving the disc down the middle of the field. Oh, and there's a turn, the first turn for
Just
the
an unfortunate drop. Was a
Soul.
little bit behind the receiver. Looks like Pruitt to pick up the disc.
There's timeout on the field.
We got a pick.
It's a pick call.
As seen by the muscle flexing.
There's a reset pass. Couldn't hit the next swing off of that. Pruitt pushes it forward to Pletsky, and that was just a little too far out for her.
Really great pressure there. Corey Branham looks like for the Soul that put really good pressure, made Plesky really run through that disc.
Booth picks up the disc and hits that first strike cut. Continues with a little bump to the center of the field. Back over to Booth again. She unleashes her lefty backhand. And that is a successful pass for the first score of the game by the Atlanta Soul.
Looks like that was Quincy Booth to Morgan Lally for the goal. But I will tell you, Maria Vargas running it through the middle of the field. Give and go every other. Really, really smooth offense by the Soul. After a few back and forth, they were able to clean it up and get that done.
Yeah, I think the Pride are going to need to recognize where that quick movement might be coming from the Soul so that they can make some defensive adjustments to try and prevent a little bit of that.
Yeah, I know they're circling 31 on that scouting report moving forward.
All right, the Pride is out there with Turner, Phillips, Raul, Thomas, Perry, Marsalek, and Rachel Mast. Feel the breeze kicking up at our backs again. I think the weather app had it at about 5 miles an hour, but I am guessing it's a little bit stronger than that.
Yeah, a little crosswind going away from the camera at this point, so let's see how the throwers can act in this wind.
Quite frankly, it's blowing through the fair behind us. I think I smell those funnel cakes.
Funnel cakes and chicken dinner. Ooh, and a forehand pull here from Danny Cordes.
Hits around the brick. Perry picks it up, gets it to Phillips. Mass across the middle of the field has the disc. Up to Raul.
What a visionary throw there by Rachel Mast.
Visionary throw. Phillips back to Mast. Little give and go there. And then a nice throw to the end zone.
What
Receiver.
a layout there from Lexi Thomas.
Lexi did have to lay that out, but that break throw was a great pass to get the Pride their first score of the game. That was a no-turn point.
Hey, the more you can rack up those no-turn points, the better. Pride also used a little bit of that middle of the field give and go motion. It seems like that's working, or at least early, for both these teams.
If the breeze is as stiff as it is out on the field as it is for us right now, I would guess that they're going to want to utilize some of those shorter passes and quicker disc movement as opposed to relying on some of the bigger throws.
Yeah, keep it short, keep it safe. Don't let the disc steal out of that wind up in that breeze.
They'll need to hit the bigger throws with more wide open receivers just to allow for that wind to play with the disc a little more.
So far, just a couple of holds. We'll see if the defensive pressure can start ratcheting up as these points go on.
That's Pruitt with the pull. Centered to Booth. The lefty backhand back to Booth, again with that quick movement through the middle of the field. I think there was a call there. Disc is back in now. I think it was a travel call that stop play. High release backhand over the top. And there's that lefty backhand again. This time Cunningham is there to D that disc.
I don't know if that was Graham Cunningham's person. I think she may have poached off a little bit in that back end zone. Was able to read that and go get it.
Johnson with the disc now for the Pride.
Against a lot of pressure. Nice layout.
Up to Evans. Looking for her reset. Gets it over to Pruitt on that reset. Back to Cunningham. Evans unleashes a backhand. And that gets a little floaty and then is ultimately D'd by the sole.
Yeah, that was going right into the teeth of that wind coming our direction.
Just swing to the near side. And the defender was nearby. I don't think the defender touched the disc, but I think it upset the receiver on that catch.
That's H.G. Morrison with a little bit of pressure on that. Making Branham maybe take her eyes off and think about it a little bit more.
Pletzky unleashed a backhand, and Evans is able to run that down.
Pride
just
on the
outside the end zone. Throws up kind of a wishful pass, and Pruitt's there for the score.
Corinne Pruitt goes up, gets it, brings it back down for the first break of the game.
That is the first break of the game. That's got to feel good so far.
Yeah. Get this slightly home favoring crowd a little fired up. Get them in the game. See if they can carry that momentum.
I've been trying to pay attention to the crowd behind us a little bit just to see, given this Poultry Days tournament, teams come in from all over the country for this tournament. There's got to be some Atlanta fans in that crowd as well. Even
though this year is a little bit smaller, a little bit of venue, we're only at one location rather than the multiple locations. So it's about half the size as it usually is, but the stadium is still filled out. People still come out to watch. I'll tell you, like I said, Versailles is so welcoming to the Ultimate community. 40-plus years at an Ultimate tournament, it just kind of adopted as the sport of Versailles, I guess.
It is it's the sport of Poultry Days. When we were in line getting our tickets for the chicken dinner, we got asked if we were going to watch the game tonight.
All right, let's see if Atlanta can right the ship a little bit after that break. One break's fine. Once you start giving up a couple, that's when things start to go sideways. So Let's see if they can calm it out. Nice, good offense.
There's a backhand. Had two defenders and two receivers. The sole able to come down with the disc.
Danny Cordes goes up and gets
They're just outside of the end zone now, and they get their hold without any turns. It's a great reply by the sole after being broken on the last point to come through with such a clean offense.
Yeah, Lindsey Allman coming streaking up, jumping in the end zone, going to get it. But, yeah, best thing that happens after when you give up break like that, nice, clean, easy offense going out there. Get your defense back out there. They can get a shot at getting it back.
Aaron Schrader was positively responsible for the big throw that went up that got him close to the end zone. So now our O-lines are working left to right. But again, the wind, we think at least, is a crossfield wind, so.
It's pretty spotty here and there. Like for right now, there's no wind. It picks up every once in a while, so it's a little bit harder for throwers to adjust to. You got to take that extra second right before you're about to throw it to think, where is this wind? What's it going to do to this throw?
The Soul with the pool now. It was good hang time, and it floated nicely. I think the wind's a little quiet at the moment.
Yeah, nice pull there by number 10.
It's Phillips over to Turner.
Lexi Thomas just living on the ground.
Rachel Mast with another visionary throw. Gets it up to Marcelik. Phillips snags that reset pass. Jenny Perry's there for the next. Nice cut by Maggie Rowell, but the defender had poached off one of the handlers there, cut that pass off. Big throw by Turner. Lots of people in the area, but the Soul come down with it.
Naomi Anderson with the D on the throw from Mary Turner. Looks like she had a couple of receivers in the area, but when you have a couple of receivers, you got a couple of defenders too, and Soul defender Anderson went up and got it.
Had better position on that one. Reset back to the center of the field. Pushes it back up, and Rowell almost gets that defense. I think the Pride is learning about that quick movement. That is a great throw, but a little too far out in front of Willie Wilson there.
Mia Griner with the rip. Liked the look. It just
liked it.
A little bit off time.
Phillips is going to pick up that disc, and the Pride have a full 80 yards to go to get to their end zone for a score here. Pushes it up to Marcelik. Nice little bump pass to Thomas, who rips a big backhand to Turner, who reads it super well. Has it just outside of the end zone, and an easy toss to Mass for the score. So we had a couple of turnovers that point for each side, but in the end, the Pride get the hold on that one.
Yeah, I think we've only had a couple of these points where it's kind of back and forth like that, but in the end, Mary Turner had a really great read over on this side, on that disc that's kind of fading away. Nice, easy dish for the score.
So the Pride are up 3-2 right now. We've got about a little over 6.5 minutes left to go in this first quarter. Between quarters, they'll take a 2.5-minute break. Halftime will be about 10 minutes long. And I understand that we've got an egg eating contest that's going to take place during halftime of our game today.
That's one part of Poultry Days I think I can do without.
It's a tradition.
It's a tradition, I
don't know how far back that tradition goes, but that is a Poultry Days tradition to have the egg eating contest.
You get 10 minutes. How many eggs can you eat?
Wind's kicking back up again as the Pride pull the disc. Get that first look to Quincy Booth. They do have a deep look, but she holds that.
Looks like that was Badeau going deep. Didn't like the look.
Another give and go back to Quincy. And for the second time, we see that give and go. Strike pass that Evans is unable to get around on.
Great
Jones
pressure
with the disc. Booth busts deep from her handler position. The Soul center the disc. Back to Booth. Booth is a workhorse on this offense. And that was just inside the end zone. Is that a no-turn point, I think, for the Soul?
It sure was. Really nice seeing that lane there by Quincy Booth with that high release lefty backhand that she's got there. Nice and easy to that break side for Corey Branham on the goal. Ties us back up at threes. So far, this has been kind of typical to what the Pride have been doing all year, really. They start out hot. A lot of their first and second quarters are where they really play well and they really force the other team to defend them, and they really get a couple of those breaks. It's that second half that really is where they start to lose some of their steam. So let's see if they can work on building that lead and then maintaining it throughout that half into the second half.
I see the Pride are huddled up on the far sideline with their, I assume, mostly their D-line, talking with Elaine Wetley, one of the coaches for the Pride. That tells me that they're trying to probably make some subtle adjustments even while this quarter is finishing out. That pull goes up, and it does land out of bounds. I suspect the Pride are going to take that up at the brick.
Looks like Pride are coming out in what looks like a split stack look. So we'll see what they're cooking up out of this. That's not something you see every day.
2 sets of 2, chalking their boots on either sideline. Mass comes across hard, and Thomas comes in. But we've only seen so far a reset pass, and then that pass gets a little wide for Rowell.
The Soul really defended that well. The Pride really didn't have a whole lot going on downfield and had to force it into a window.
They're pushing it up the far sideline. Schrader is just outside the end zone with the disc. Strike cut coming. And good position by the offense to keep the defender out of the way of that. And that is a break for the Soul.
Yeah, nice little dish from Schroeder to Naomi Anderson. I like that cut that Naomi did right there, where you get that inside lane on that strike cut, get your defender on your back, and there's no position that they can get a D unless they go through you, and that's going to be a foul. So
and that's and there's nothing you can do about that defensively.
That's textbook.
That dip of the
handler
shoulder to
cut
get that position.
for sure. Soul gets their break back.
Score is 3-4 in favor of the Atlanta Soul. Each team has had a break.
And to be honest, pretty clean overall. I mean, like I said, there have been a couple of points here and there that have a little bit of turns, but by and large, it's a lot of clean ultimate.
With the really rough stats that I'm keeping, I think the Soul have 2 no-turn holds on their offense. The Pride have 1. So to that point, I think the teams are playing really cleanly so far. I have a total of 8 turnovers so far for both teams. Perry is unguarded on the far sideline. She's got all the time in the world. We just need someone to cut and get open. She puts up a big throw. 3 defenders, only 1 offensive person in place. I think there was a foul called.
If I can read body language, it looks like I think Rachel Mass is saying maybe that she got run into from the back. Discussion on it.
Not quite sure what was going on there with Perry unmarked and no one getting open for her.
Yeah, and then opted for the long pass where
opted for the pass with, from what I could tell, there would have been no stall count. That's going back as a contested foul, so that they did not take that to the observer. And I see Mia Greiner looks to be the person who should be coming in to put the mark onto Perry. But she's a good 15 yards away at the moment.
Just give her another chance from that corner.
It's a good swing pass out to the side. Oh, and Mast with the backup layout grab behind Thomas on the errant throw.
Ooh, just a bit out of bounds. Mary Turner looked to toe the line, just faded a little bit too far out of bounds.
One of the hardest things to do as a receiver, keep your eye on the disc and try to keep your eyes on your toes so you can be in bounds for the catch. The Soul with the disc, get it centered. And they keep pushing it to the far sideline. Now back to the middle, and a layout grab there.
Incredible layout. Very good height on that.
A good 3-4 feet at least, right? And another layout. One. Cashin is just putting it all out there.
Just a bit behind the receiver. But put on a show for us in those couple layouts.
Phillips with the disc now.
Mary
Getting
Turner
up to
under some
Turner on the
pressure.
near sideline again. And she puts up a disc. Phillips is there, but so is the defense.
Looked like it was a high stall situation. Didn't want to turn in the backfield, wanted to give a receiver in the end zone a shot.
And it puts the Soul in a position to go 80 yards.
Yeah, make them work all the way. Had a deep cut, didn't like it. Looks like that was Dana Badeau that was going deep.
Griner with the disc, directing a little bit of traffic there. Emma Jones doing some work back there with the disc. Has to hit another reset. Notably, Booth isn't out on the field right now. Badeau centers it. Griner with the disc again.
Soul seemed pretty content to just swing it between their handlers, not looking to force anything up the field just yet, and it's working out because they're working these give and goes.
The defense is working hard.
Yeah, credit to the Pride downfield defenders. They're making them work and making them swing it between their handlers.
Soul is being very patient right now. She wanted the deep cut that time, but nobody was already in that motion, so she held that back.
Marscano putting in a lot of work this point, getting a lot of touches. Same with Jones.
Jones and Griner again.
Every time Griner gets the disc, first thing, eyes go up looking for something downfield, looking for something in the deep space.
Cashin centers it again. Back up to Griner. So patient.
Yeah, it almost looks like the Pride's doing a bit of a poach off the handlers.
They're sagging for sure.
They're sagging.
So while it's not a full-on zone, the Soul are treating it with the patience they might of a zone. If you hear the crowd, there isn't a clock about to go down. There's about a minute left in this quarter.
Oh. And, hey, the effort that the Pride put in on that point, making them swing between their handlers, it paid off.
Perry with the big pass to Marcelik. Over to Turner.
Had Mass in the end zone, didn't like it.
And hits Marcelik again. You know, they had numbers, Pride did. The Soul defense, after that turn, I think was just a little slow at getting back.
I'll tell you, as an offense, that's pretty crushing. When you work it 70 to 75% of the way down the field, a nice patient offense, and then something slightly goes wrong, you got to turn around and play defense. That's tough. But I'll tell you, after playing with Delaney Marcelik for a while, if you put something up in the air, she's probably going to come down with it. So we're coming up on just under a minute left in this first quarter. As a reminder, in the Premier Ultimate League, in the quarters 1, 2, and 3, when the clock stops, you play out the possession, whether it be until a score or a turnover. The fourth quarter is handled as a buzzer beater, where clock stops, game's over. So we're coming up into that position where you start thinking as an offense, we've got all the time in the world. We don't have to really care about the clock. As long as we hold possession of the disc, we have a shot to score.
For as long as the Soul held the disc during their last offense before that unfortunate turn, 40 seconds will seem like nothing for them, as long as they complete those passes.
So if my math's correct, the announcer just said there have been a total of 27,000 chicken dinners sold in the past 2 days.
That's what I understand is to be correct.
For sales loves their chicken.
Up to Schrader now. Booth is back out there for this O point.
Really tight handler defense by the Pride, making them really dump it back about 5-7 yards.
Pride defense is working really hard on those reset passes. The clock is going to hit 0 here. We have 0 on our game clock. Soul still has possession, so this is theirs to either score or turn to end the quarter.
Really good seal by Graham Cunningham there. Not letting that around go off.
There's
And
a pick
was
called. Dahl's coming in on 3.
Like
stoppage in play.
A violation downfield, as shown by the flying V with the hands. Someone wasn't set when the pick was resolved.
All right, we're set now, and the disc is in. Over to Schrader. She hits Vargas on the far sideline. Misses the first go at that pass, but catches the second try and throws for the score to end the quarter.
Schrader to Corey Bradham. A really good concentration by Schrader there. Didn't get it on the first attempt, stayed with it, didn't go out of bounds, was able to secure possession, and then throw a quick goal.
So the score of the game right now is Atlanta Soul have 5, Columbus Pride at 4. If my math is correct, I believe we're on serve for where this game started.
Sure am.
I have the Soul with my rough stats with 3 no-turn points, and each team has had a break in this game.
Yeah, so kind of what we expected going into this game. A pretty tightly contested matchup between a couple of teams that are really fighting for their season, trying to end the season on a good note. And like you said, really just generally clean ultimate.
See the teams lowering the shade tent over there. The shadows are getting long. The sun is dropping behind us a bit. Temperature is down to 80 degrees at the moment. Actually, looking at the app now, we still do have an air quality alert. I think I looked earlier and the index was somewhere around 82. So there's still a little bit of that Canadian fire smoke in the area.
Hopefully it's starting to dissipate here coming soon.
You were playing at the tournament earlier today. How did the air feel for you while you were out there running around?
You know, it wasn't as bad as it's been over the past week or so. I was playing maybe on Wednesday, and Wednesday it was really, you could really feel that, after a couple of points, not getting enough oxygen, really, honestly feeling like you're standing in front of a campfire, for lack of a better word. But, yeah, no, today has been really not that bad. But with today's format, you play a game and then you get a bye. So you really are only playing for an hour or hour and a half or so, and then you get a really, really good break.
What kind of adjustments, if any, do you think we might see coming out of this first quarter? 2.5 minutes, it's not a lot of time to make big changes.
No, I think for the Pride, they got to be feeling pretty good about how they're playing so far. I think they can work on cleaning up a little bit more in that downfield set. I think some of their cutter flow isn't necessarily working always, forcing them to throw some of those contested shots up the field. But for Atlanta, I feel like they're trying to just maybe stay the course. I mean, their handler movement's been working. Their middle of the field movement's been working. It's just a miss here or a miss there. So I think if they just keep doing what they're doing, kind of stay the course, I think they're in pretty good shape.
I agree. So we'll have the Pride on offense going left to right now, but they'll be receiving the disc. And that pull goes up by Aaron Schrader. Jenny Perry with the disc, gets it up to Sam Phillips. We got that split stack going again.
Looked like a flood play that time.
It was. They flooded the far sideline and got the disc to Rachel Mast.
Rowell and Turner coming over, and Turner going back and getting it.
Turner needing a reset. Tries to get it up to Rachel Mast, but could not complete that pass.
Yeah, it looks like she had Mary Turner for a little bit, but the mark really shut that down, put a nice no around mark on, and made that a really hard throw, forced her to look up the field for something that just wasn't there.
The Soul have it now on the far sideline. They'll be looking for the first break of the second quarter if they can complete that here. Reset pass goes over the head of the receiver, and Sam Phillips gets the disc in the center of the field for the Pride. There was a hand on that disc, but that pass was completed. There might have been a foul call, but we're going to play on if indeed that was called. Raul with the disc, pushes it up to Mast on the far sideline. She's looking for some options, now looking for her reset. Got Raul in the middle of the field. Raul with a backhand break throw, curls that disc into Mast for the score.
Really, really great toe of the line by Rachel Mast. You saw that disc was really fading away from her, had to go make a play on it, got both feet in bounds. A nice score there for the Pride.
It's a solid hold coming out to start the first or second quarter.
It seems like, in general, the Handler defense has been pretty tight today. Marks have been really good, forcing a lot of those throws, like that turnover for the Soul right there. Forced the mark to throw that a little bit lower than they'd like. Pop the disc up a little bit more because it's coming into that wind that we're experiencing here. And then, likewise, the Soul's defense on that initial point with a really good hard no-around mark. The Handler defense has been rock solid.
It has been. And, you know, that's the name of the game, right? Like, getting in there and disrupting what an offensive flow is desired and forcing, like you said, those throws to be altered just enough. Whether that means the wind eats it up or some defender's able to come through on it. It's Pruitt with the pool. Initial pass gets it to Booth in the center of the field. Up to Lally. Back to Booth. Oh, thought about a slightly deeper throw, but hits the under. Bradham with the disc. Not a lot of options.
Mal Griffith with the D.
Mal Griffith comes through on that D.
And Mal Griffith streaking deep.
That's Graber.
Just a bit unfortunate of a throw there. And it looks like a timeout called by the Soul. Or actually, it was a timeout called by the Pride before that throw went up, I think.
Yep, so that's going to be...
Looks like the disc is probably going to stay with the Pride then.
Yeah, coaches are able to call those timeouts from the sideline. So if a coach got that timeout acknowledged by the observers, then that errant pass is not going to matter.
And also, you can full sub in these timeouts, which is definitely a tactical advantage, getting a whole new line out there to play offense.
So we'll take a moment here to shout out to Spin Ultimate. This live broadcast of the Premier Ultimate League is brought to you by Spin Ultimate. Spin Ultimate, providing custom team uniforms and ultimate apparel since 2007. Visit Spin on the web at spinultimate.com.
So Pride coming back out here after that timeout. They're a little bit past the brick mark there. So got a pretty good amount of the field to go, but it's better than the alternative that just was.
Yeah, that turnover, right? So this disc is already all the way back with Phillips.
It's like a little bit of a poach of some sort from the handler out in front of the disc. Looks like it's Perry's defender.
Phillips does the right thing and gets it to Perry, avoiding that poach. Who gets a high release backhand over to Mast. Oh, and Thomas just can't get her hand on that disc.
Just
cleanly.
off the hands. Danny Cortez was looking for it, didn't like the look, opted to just reset the disc. Had Willie Wilson out there.
Oh, another slightly errant throw goes over a couple of receivers' heads. Raul picked that disc up and got it over to Thomas. It's back with Raul now. Oh, and that defender is able just to get her extended hand on that.
Really good defense by Wilson there, able to undercut that strike, get a hand in there, get that deep.
Booth up to Bradham.
Morgan Alley just calling for that disc, saying, I'm open, get it to me.
Booth with the give and go, but didn't get it back initially, but has it now. There's a foul called. That was not related to the thrower or the mark. It was related to a defender and receiver downfield.
Looks like it looks like an uncontested foul.
Booth to Bradham, trying to get it back to Booth. Back to Bradham for the score.
Booth and Bradham operating in a phone booth there. Those give and goes, over the top, those kind of things. It's kind of skills that Minnie gets to working on.
So that's another hold for the Soul. There were a couple of turnovers during that point. The Soul are up 6-5. We've got just under 8.5 minutes left to go before halftime.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about how clean it looked coming into this half, but at least so far in the half, it's team's just starting to feel it out a little bit more. I think defense has also ratcheted up a little bit more, so I don't think that's entirely on the offense. It's not performing. I think the defense is putting a good amount of pressure on them now.
Yep, that added pressure is forcing both teams perhaps into more turnovers. We have yet to have a clean hold in the second quarter. Is that 9:45? Pruitt with the pull, gets it up to Phillips. The Soul are poaching the lanes a little bit off of those handlers, similar to what we saw from the Pride earlier. That throw gets up to Mast. Mast to Turner, bumps it out to Cunningham. I think the crowd wanted Cunningham to find a deep shot there.
Opts to go a little bit more conservative over to Mast.
Mast looking for a reset, but finds Cunningham cutting up the line, who gets up for the disc and gets the Pride hold. That is the first no-turn point of the second quarter.
Graham Cunningham kind of growing in that the Ohio State Fever program that's starting to really build back up into its glory days, as you remember. Kind of one of the cornerstones of that team, really great in the air, really solid in the handler set. Just growing as a player, really, really fun to watch.
She has an amazing toolbox of throws. That time we saw her get it up in the air with her athleticism to catch that disc, but often she's able to generate those moments because of what she can do with a throw. And then if she goes after that, defenders have a really tough time keeping up with her.
Yeah, if
Makes
she's
her
looking to high point a disc,
valid receiver.
if she's going to high point a disc, she's going to go get it.
She stays out there for this D point for the Pride. Looks like she's going to pull the disc.
Yeah, let's see if the Pride can really work on stifling some of those give and goes from Atlanta. We've seen Booth, we've seen Bradham, we've seen Wilson, where they like to really work those inside lanes, those give and goes, and especially Booth being a lefty, those lefty backhands are really, really easy to get that throw off and then get moving into your cut.
So Booth is out there. Emma Jones is as well. Back in the handler set. Lally with the disc right now. Layout by Huey. Badeau with the disc, gets it back to Booth. Booth maybe thought about that backhand. And Bradham with the disc centers it to Lally again, back to Bradham.
There's
Simple
that connection.
high release forehand to Booth in the center of the end zone at the front end.
Yeah, that connection's been working so far in these first two quarters. Whether Booth's throwing the score or receiving the score, they're just on the same page. They have been all game.
That's your clean hold you were looking for.
That is the clean hold. So actually we've had two clean holds. We had the 2 points where we talked about the defenses stepping up, potentially causing more turns, and now the last 2 points have been clean holds by both teams. Coach Dustin McConnell's out there coaching up that Pride O-line.
Seen a couple of Pride players crossing over, playing both offense and defense. I know Corinne Pruitt's playing a lot both ways. I think Rachel Mass has played a little bit both ways. You know, relying on some of those veteran players, those more experienced players to really hold down some of these longer points, and especially in this atmosphere. I know we talked to the coaches a little bit about how they're going to handle this atmosphere with some of their veteran players, but they got a lot of players that have been here before that kind of know what this is about.
I see Bailey Perkins on the field as well. Not sure that she's been out yet today. Phillips with the disc. Again, trying to avoid the sagging defenders. Throws it a little wide, but Pruitt lays out to save that disc.
Really nice
Hits
reactionary
Mast
bid.
in the middle of the field. Raul with the catch of the wobbly disc that was thrown. She puts it up for Marsalek, who tracks it down. And now we've got our third clean hold.
Hey, ask and you shall receive. You want clean holds, they'll give you some clean holds.
That ties the game at 7s. We've got just about 6.5 minutes left to go in this half.
Yeah, so now it's going to see who can take this second half of the second quarter and really use this momentum. Maybe break away, maybe get a couple of breaks, a couple of nice defensive plays, maybe some players that get some defensive plays that can really propel them into a halftime. Because right now, no team is really breaking away right now.
Yeah, sometimes we see in these matchups, little runs of a few points here and a few points there for the other team, but other than those 2 breaks in the first half, it's been about offenses taking care of the disc. Mel Griffith with the disc in her hand for the pool. That disc stays inbounds. Centering pass gets to Greiner. She's looking for off the pool play, one of her cutters. The Pride defense shuts that down.
Yeah, pretty well switched by the Pride. Looks like they're running a little bit of some sort of poach where they're switching a little bit on some of these unders, really trying to stifle some of that upward momentum.
Yeah, the sole action has slowed down a little bit. There's been a pick called. Bedeau with the disc.
Looks like there may have been a couple of picks. Yeah, it looks like one pick had maybe gotten resolved, but the other one, not so much.
Not so much. Got Ullman with the disc. H.G. Morrison will be on the mark for Pride. This is going to back up a little further because it apparently came. Well, I'm not sure when the pick was called now.
Looks like maybe at least a throw or two back. Discussion's still going on about this. I'm not sure what that was. Maybe a foul, potentially a pick.
Maybe. Still discussing. Haven't seen any sort of signal from anybody to tell us what's happening yet.
Stahl's coming in on 5.
Badol tries to hit the around for her reset, and the throw hits the ground.
That was a really great mark by Alex Hughes.
Griffith with a big backhand to Pletzky. If she got it in, she is in. What a massive throw by Mal Griffith. Only person who was in a position to get to that disc was, in fact, Medi Pletzky.
Yeah. You don't often see Mal Griffith looking deep. When she does, it's going to be that backhand, and most of the time it's going to find its mark. That one, like you said, put it where only her receiver can go get it, and Maddie Pletzky is one of the more athletic players that you'll see around she's going to make that play most of the time.
Even if that defender had closed a little bit more, I still think Maddie would have been able to come down with that disc.
Yeah, I want to go back to that mark by Alex Hughes. Really, really forced that. Maybe even gotten a hand on it.
Yep.
Forced that to be a really, really hard reset and made it go to the turf.
So there was only one turn that point, and it resulted in Pride able to break the sole for the first break of this second quarter. We're hearing over the PA at the moment the contestants for the egg eating contest.
And the great thing about this egg eating contest is that people can bid per egg. So like we just heard, someone is bidding $20 per egg, and all of that money goes to charity. So while it is a how many eggs can you eat, it's also going to a great cause because people are paying to see people eat eggs.
That pool landed pretty deep. Booth with the disc now in the center of the field. Johnson
Really
is
pressure.
almost able to run through for that D. Back to the Booth for a high release backhand.
This is a matchup I'm very interested in. It's that Cunningham versus Booth matchup.
Having trouble finding the reset, but does get the disc off. Now they've switched on defense. That high release backhand from Booth again. And that reset pass was just a little too casual, I think. Cunningham picks up that disc, lets a backhand rip. And that's Andresen with the foul call. She had good body position, but was unable to catch the disc, but she called that foul, and it appears to go uncontested, so she will get the disc at the front of the end zone.
Yeah. Andresen really put in the effort early to get in that position, make it so the defender had to foul her in order to make that play. And Corinne Pruitt with the layout grab for the
little
score.
banana cut from Pruitt. Andresen put the disc a little too far out in front, but Pruitt lays it out and gets a second break of the game, or in a row for the game.
It seems like whenever we ask for something like this, it happens. We asked for clean holds, we got clean holds. We asked for a run of breaks.
Should we ask for who's going to eat the most eggs during the egg eating contest?
I don't think I'm going to be watching, I'm going to be honest.
All right. Let me say that a little more clearly now. The Pride has broken twice in a row now, so now we're on one of those little mini runs that we talked about earlier.
Let's see how Solo can respond. I know we've already talking about who can respond to what in this game. You get broken a couple of times. You really need an offense to come out there and just be rock solid. Take care of the disc, take the easy throws, and really just put it in and give you a little bit more confidence, get you back going back on the right page and in the right direction.
And I think it really is just about confidence, right? Like, clearly these teams have all of the talent and skills to move the disc on offense. They've had several clean points so far. The defense have put a little more pressure on, but I think right now you're right. It's just about making the confident throws. That disc is centered to Vargas. Surveys the field. Hits a nice break to Bradham.
Really nice inside.
Up to Schrader, and Schrader rips a backhand. What a nice flat pass to Wilson in the end zone. So there's that clean hold, that confident clean hold.
Confidence is key, and sometimes you just need some of your veteran players, some of your top-end players to just say, I'm going to go make a play. I'm going to get us back on the right page. And that's exactly what Aaron Schrader did right there. I'm going to take a minute to shout out our sponsors, specifically for the Columbus Pride. This season, Columbus Pride is supported by our hometown sponsor, Strange Birds. Attract ideal leads, convert them into clients, and take your business to new heights. It all starts with brand messaging and copywriting that's as unique as you are. Strange Birds is owned by Anna Hetzel, who is part of a local Frisbee community and is a Columbus Pride fan. Visit strangebirds.land to learn more.
Just listening into where the money for, I forget what it was, the Lymphoma
20,000?
Society, $20,000.
Yeah.
It's an amazing amount of money to raise.
Pride offense back on the field.
That's Perry to Phillips. Thomas crossing the middle, gets the disc. Doesn't have any deep options, but Mast is open under, and that pass goes off to Mast. Raul with the disc on the far sideline. A round pass to Phillips, off of her hand.
Just a bit unfortunate, a bit low. Really hard to get down and try and get that.
Seoul have a chance here to get one of the breaks back. Nice reset cut getting under there in front of Huey.
Naomi Anderson with the hammer. I don't hate the look.
Don't hate the look.
Just didn't come out quite as she wanted it to.
I'm a firm believer that every throw has a place, a time and a place. The Pride were unable to complete even their first pass there, putting the Seoul in really good position here. Looked to be about 10 yards out from the end zone. And a nice feeder pass that isn't in yet. And the counter pass is almost D'd by Turner, but the Seoul hang on to it.
Yep, Anderson gets another shot and doesn't miss. Hits Tuna Marscano in the end zone for the goal.
So that's one of those breaks the Seoul just earned back. The score is 9-9.
Coming on about 3 minutes left in the half here. Tight game. Let's see who can pull away.
About what we expected, I would say, in terms of the tight game. I'd also say it's about what I expected in terms of the crowd noise behind us. The stands are pretty full. I'm getting kind of excited about the egg eating contest. I hope it's going to take place in our view.
It's a spectacle. If you've never seen it, if you've never been here, you got to make it a plan to get here.
I've been to this tournament way back in my past a bunch of times, but I don't think I've ever witnessed the egg eating contest. Phillips to Pruitt. Pruitt up to Mast. Back to Pruitt. That's good quick disc movement. Raul comes around on a 7-cut to get that one. Back up to Pruitt. This sideline seems to be where all the action's going to happen until that pass, which crosses the field over to Mast.
Pruitt and Raul, teammates on Columbus rival, or Columbus and Ann Arbor rival, really showing that chemistry on some of those cuts, getting open at that strike space. And then when Pruitt threw that, I don't think Mast was looking.
I don't think she was, but it was a visionary pass from Pruitt to Mast.
Love to see it. Turn around, wide open in the end zone.
You know, all the action was up the near sideline, so the defense kind of sinks into this idea that the action is going to keep happening up that sideline, and Pruitt had the wherewithal to see a window to cross that disc through to hit Mast in the end zone for that score. We've got about 2.5 minutes to go before we hit our halftime. The Seoul coming out on offense.
Some of the usual suspects on their O-line.
Yep. Booth will probably be back handling. I see Schrader out there.
Wilson.
That pull hits the ground not far from the brick mark. Booth with the disc, the high release backhand yet again. Schrader with an inside-out throw. That gets D'd by Evans.
Had Bradham in the area. Evans just got a little bit better position. Was able to get that.
Pride with the disc. Jenny Perry up to, I think that was Hughes over on the far sideline. Working it up that far side to Evans now. Looking for a reset. Gets it back to Perry, but Perry is unable to hold on to the disc. The Soul will take over possession.
So
We have an
looks like
injury timeout, it seems.
injury substitution there. Alex Hughes stepping off for the Pride.
So that's Hughes coming off and Mast going on.
Doesn't look like Atlanta is going to sub to match.
Didn't see what happened to Hughes there. She doesn't seem like she's seeking trainer help, but maybe she just tweaked an ankle or such. Soul with the disc, Evans on the challenge there. Bradham is looking to hit Booth. There's a nice defensive switch that puts Evans on Booth. That throw goes over to Allman. Oh, that disc was challenged by Mass, but Schrader was able to get up and get it and get those toes in bounds.
Yeah, great concentration by Schrader there. And as we've seen time and time again, Booth with that high release lefty backhand. I mean, when you're a taller handler and a lot of these defenders are a little bit shorter than you and put it right over their shoulder, it's a pretty hard throw to stop.
When you're marking somebody who's taller than you are, it's a really tough decision to make. You're going to keep your arms up high to prevent that and allow them all those low release throws, or you're just going to try to find the middle ground and hope for the best.
Sometimes when you have great throwers, you just got to limit what you can. You know they're going to get something. You got to try and take whatever you can away. But you know that they're always going to try and get something.
We've got a minute 22 on the clock. The crowd's getting loud behind us because the contestants for the egg eating contest have arrived.
Again with the forehand pulls. Don't see that very often. I do like it though. And it seems to be pretty effective.
Pruitt picks up the disc, pushes it forward to Turner. I actually couldn't see what happened there. There was another player in the way. I thought Mary was trying to make a throw.
Looks like she
but
was.
But it got hand blocked, I think, yeah?
Yeah, it looks like she did attempt to make one, originally called a foul, then retracted it. Clean hand block.
Raul trying to get that D. That's Ortiz with the disc.
Not quite the shape that you wanted out of that throw, I don't think.
I don't think so. She didn't have a lot of options, though. Nobody was really coming open clean. Phillips with the disc for the Pride now, over to Pruitt.
Ortiz was able to play pretty good defense on both of them.
Marsalek to Raul, who catches that in the end zone for the score.
Delaney Marsalek, not always known as the person that's throwing the goals, usually is the one that's receiving them. This time, puts a nice backhand out to space in front of her receiver, Raul, who goes down and gets it.
So that's a hold for the Pride. We're back again to seeing some turnovers during these points. The score is 11-10. The Pride are up. And we've got about 20 seconds until this halftime.
Yep.
So in all likelihood, the Soul will be possessing the disc as time runs out on this clock.
Yeah, and both teams, I think there's a one timeout called by Columbus, so I believe Columbus has one left. Atlanta still got both of them, I think. So we'll see if they use them because they don't get to carry them over into the second half.
Can't take them with them.
Maybe if the Pride gets a quick turnover, maybe something. But everything that we've seen from Atlanta so far tells us they're probably going to be pretty patient with the disc.
That's what we've seen a lot of. Pull is up. Griner's going to center that to Booth. Booth to Bradham. Not a lot of reset options. There's been a foul called.
Looks like time may have expired in the half. We'll play out this possession though.
Yeah, the question is, did that foul happen before time expired?
Looks like they're talking it out, and throw is going to go back to Booth.
So it's going to stay with the Soul. And there is no time on the clock, so the Soul, again, will be in the position of either scoring or turning the disc to end the half.
See if they can stay patient without having to deal with the time.
It's good defense by the Pride. Not giving her a lot of options, but Booth gets herself open up the line. Uses that high release to get it to Bradham.
Scooper.
Back to Booth. Booth swings it over to Bradham. Hits a wide open Bedeau in the middle of the field. Back to Booth. High release backhand, and then another quick throw into the end zone for that Soul score. So that was a no turn point, which it needed to be since the time ran out on the clock.
Yeah, Pride put a lot of pressure on some of those resets, made them work. But in the end, Soul, as we've seen all in this first half, stayed calm, stayed true to their handler sets, and were able to punch it in.
So we're going to end this first half. The score is tied 11-11. And we'll take a little break here and allow this egg eating contest to go on.
Yeah, come on right back. Thank you. All right, welcome back. First of all, apologies for our stream. Sounds like we were having a bit of a delay or some difficulties here, so we weren't able to really see what was a really great end to the first half. Just to catch you up here, it is 11-11. Pride is going to be coming out on defense, it looks like. Looks like Pride's going to be pulling.
Correct.
And there was a couple runs here. Pride took a couple of breaks up. Atlanta responded, got a couple of those breaks back, and we're all tied up going into the second half.
And I think technically the Pride are still up a break, as the Soul received at the start of the game, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So that pull goes up, and we are starting the second half. We'll fill you in on the egg eating contest a little bit later. Booth with the disc. Hits a contested pass. The defense was close. Definitely an accidental bump, but it did knock the receiver down. Hopefully everyone's okay.
That's Wilson.
Wilson with the disc.
Looks like she's going to stay in the game.
Yep, she gave the thumbs up to the observer.
Trying to get everybody set. ready for play.
Observers resetting all the players. And we'll get this point restarted. This is just the first point out of half.
One of those trespass resets.
High toss to Booth. Booth sends it upfield to Bradham. Bradham bumps it over. Bradham with the disc again to Booth. Finds Lally in the middle of the field, who then hits Wilson again. Around to Brzezinski. Booth with the disc, doesn't have a big backhand option there. There's a call on the field. I think there was a pick called.
Looks like a pick as they're trying to set up in that end zone set. Looks like they're looking in some sort of a vert stack. Or at least they're going to form into one.
Here the defenses talking to each other. And here the Pride coaches shouting out to their defense as well.
Definitely a shout out to Rachel Graber right now. She's taken on that Booth matchup, and she's been playing really good defense. She had it at the end of the game, or at the end of the quarter as well, really putting a lot of pressure.
And Greiner gets herself open for that hit from Booth to get the first score of the second half. That's a hold for the Soul, a no-turn point.
Also want to throw in that this live broadcast of the Premier Ultimate League is brought to you by Spin Ultimate. Spin Ultimate, providing custom team uniforms and ultimate apparel since 2007. Visit Spin on the web at spinultimate.com.
So I just heard the results,
Okay.
the money results of the egg eating contest. And they raised $6,012 for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.
I think that was for one team. Or is that for the full? No, that's for the full group.
I think that's for the full group.
One team, which is a team out of Cleveland. I think I just heard that they raised
4,000.
4,000 of that.
That's amazing. I haven't heard how many eggs was the maximum that somebody ate.
I didn't
While the
catch that.
contest was going on, somebody was clearly over 20 eggs, but I did not hear the final count.
That's impressive. And like you said, all going to a great cause.
Schrader with the pull. Pride out with their O-line. Pruitt receives that pull and pushes it up to Phillips. Phillips surveys the field. Hits Pruitt on the far sideline, and then Pruitt's pass is unable to stay up for Thomas. So the Soul here with a chance to break in the second point of the second half. Big throw to Schrader. Threaded that through. That break did come very quick for the Soul.
Yeah, Anderson with a really nice inside forehand. Looking for ever reliable Aaron Schrader in the end zone.
I think, it's early in the second half, but you did say, as this game was starting, that one of the things that the Pride needed to focus on was starting out a game strong and then holding that pace and holding it through the entirety of the game. So it's an early break for the Soul in the second half. We'll see if the Pride can rise up and sort of get past that monkey that they've seemed to have this season. And continue fighting in the second half.
Yeah.
Lots of time left. Lots of time.
Still so much time left, but yeah, I mean it's something that we've seen, the entire year. Getting it going in the first half, and then second half has started when the wheels start to fall off. So let's see if they can right that, kind of stave that off a little bit early, and get back on track.
Wheels aren't falling off yet.
Oh no, wagon's still moving forward.
But we might be looking at the wheels a little bit just to make sure. Pride going out on offense. The pull is up. Looks like Jenny Perry's going to pick up that disc. She waves off the center to Phillips. The Soul is in a bit of a sagging defense. Masked with the disc right in front of us here, up to Turner. Turner rips a big backhand, sees Mast on the backside of her defender.
Wow.
And she lays out for that disc and comes up with the catch for the score.
Rachel Mast tumbling, bumbling, securing the score for
Getting
the
it
Pride.
done. I got to say, I didn't get a full count, but if I reflect, I think that was a 3 or 4 pass offense by the Pride.
Hey, like we were saying before, whenever you get broken like that, just what the doctor ordered. Nice, easy offense, put it in, and get it in the hands of some of your more experienced, your confident players. Let them go make plays. Mary Turner with a really, really nice throw there. Great backhand to Rachel Mast, who Rachel Mast is going to catch it in the end zone.
She's always going to give it her best effort, and oftentimes that is success. That makes the score 13-12 Atlanta.
See if Pride can go get one back now.
I think the crowd has thinned down a little bit.
They were here for the main event.
That egg eating
They
contest.
were here for the egg eating contest.
That pool, did it land out of bounds? I feel like it might be out of bounds over there.
But unfortunately, people that left, they're going to miss a really great second half we got going on here because I can see this one coming down to the wire.
In fact, you're right. I haven't heard yet if they've run out of chicken over at the festival yet. Perhaps some folks are going to get second dinner right now. Got a little bit of zone going on here by the Pride. The Soul needs to survey that and readjust a little bit of their offense.
Looking like a three-person cup they got going on.
And they got a kind of an open look, but that pass was overthrown to that receiver. So they had a momentary option to break through that first line of zone defense, which they did, but that pass was just a little bit too far.
Yeah, the zone did what you needed to do. Make the offense think just a little bit, make them throw something they don't want to, and then oftentimes it'll result in a mistake.
So now the Pride have a chance to work at the full 80 yards to try and get a break. There's a pick call, but the teams all stopped, so no one caught that disc, so that's going to result in a turnover.
Yeah, those always hurt. The pick is called, but the throw goes up.
So the
Still
Soul
turnover.
have the disc again.
Really great defense by Pruitt there. Nice physical.
Oh, overthrow on the reset, and Griner almost gets that layout catch on the backup.
Almost picked that right off the turf. Pride with back on offense.
Looks to be a pick called there.
Another pick. Offense is just a little bit in each other's way right now. Need to clean it up a little bit.
This is a break chance for the Pride. That is an errant pass picked off by Booth. Griner with the disc. I hear the defense being called backhand on the force. Booth hits Bradham. Bradham puts up a deep disc. Easily runs under that disc. Caught the defense on the underside. Put a great pass over that defender, and the offense is able to run under it for the score.
Just really great place pass out in front of the receiver. And again, only the receiver can go and get it. Falls right into her hands.
So I was doing a little tallying of my rough stats from the first half. And I counted 12 turns in the first quarter, 13 in the second, for a total of 25 turns in that first half. 1, 2, 7 or 8, maybe 9 no-turn points between the two teams. From that first half, we've had just 1 no-turn point for the Pride in the second half so far. 14-12 is the score. Atlanta with the lead.
Yeah, both teams are getting their chances on some of these breaks. It's just going to be a matter of who capitalized on more of them.
Pride running down to get this disc started off the pool. Jenny Perry's going to pick it up. Got the split stack again for their pool play with Rowell coming across the middle. I think Jenny spied Marcelik in that deep space, but that pass did not curl around like she had hoped. So that's a turn for the Pride.
It's a tough one when you have someone running, when your offensive player's running in that same third. Schrader rips one.
Atlanta goes for the deep pass. Perry seemed like she might have been there for it, but is unable to get the D, so Soul is knocking on the doorstep. This is a break opportunity for the Soul.
Really wanted that around space. Well shut down. Comes back to the foreside and gets it.
Cut across the front of the end zone. Defender was nearby but unable to get in the way of that. And that is a break for the Soul. That is their second break of this second half, which is still pretty early in. We still have 6:43 in this third quarter.
Yeah, Pride just looking to clean it up a little bit, maybe make it a little bit easier on some of these offensive possessions. Seems like a little bit out of sorts, like we were saying with some of those pick calls earlier. They're not quite on the same page to start. Hoping to kind of right that ship coming out of into the second half of the third quarter.
Pride coaches out there giving some direction to that O-line.
So they got a pretty strong cutting core going out there. Rowell, Turner, Thomas, and Marcelik. Rachel Mast out there also looking to move up into that space. So I think this should be a cutting group that can really work well together.
I think it's about understanding if they're sagging off those handlers for the handlers to move the disc forward and just getting that timing going on the cuts. That pull landed out of bounds, so it's being brought in at the brick. And again, we've got what appears to be a side stack with an isolated cutter in the middle.
Maggie in the middle. It's generally a pretty good option.
Mass gets open on the far side. Fakes the deep look. Resets to Jenny Perry, who bobbles the catch, but ends up receiving it on the second go. There has been a call on the field for some time, though, so I believe a Soul player lost her cleat.
It's like Ortiz there without a shoe on.
I think they're going to send that disc back one pass, recognizing when the observer saw what was happening on the field.
Looks like it's going to go back to Perry, so maybe a throwback.
Not real sure how an equipment timeout like that fits in and why the Pride might lose an entire pass off of that.
Yeah, not quite sure what the official call on that one was, but observer elects to take it back a throw before.
So Perry with the disc after the bobbled catch and the lost shoe. Rowell now pushes it up to Mast. Mast gave that throw a second look, and that defender was able to read it. And the Soul push it up that sideline, but Mast is able to read that disc and get a hand on it to knock it down.
Rachel Mast read the area perfect, knew where that throw was going to go, got a hand up there, knocked it down. Great defense.
Thomas to Mast. Reading it to Thomas. Defender came in on that. Ooh, wraps that disc around the defender. Had to because the defender was in her throwing lane, but as a result, she put that disc too far out from Marcelik.
Yeah, just not quite on the same page as the receiver.
And quite frankly, the defender.
Yeah.
I think she saw the receiver, saw the defender, altered her throw, and it was just too much.
Yeah, credit to Atlanta. They're stepping their defense up for sure.
Soul had the first full 80 to go. They're moving the disc. It seems the Pride defense is lagging just a little bit. Thomas is in the area for that one, but not able to get it.
Vargas goes around, finds Cashin in the end zone for the Atlanta goal, and that's another break for Atlanta.
So we've had 5 points in the second half. 3 of them have been breaks for the Soul.
Yeah, really starting to take that defensive pressure to another level, and then when they get it on offense, they're not too keen to give it back.
See if this Pride O-line can sort of settle in here a little bit. Atlanta is now up 16-12. Again, not insurmountable, still a lot of time in this game. But the momentum shift right now is pretty apparent.
Yeah, momentum is real, and sometimes when these teams go on these runs, it's really hard to come back. But like we were saying before with Atlanta, when they righted the run, it just comes back to confidence. You know, they were doing it in the first half. Just got to bring that back and work those things that worked in the first half, bring them back and work them in the second half.
Yeah, and again, like, you get to the point where your confidence is, shaken enough that you start falling out of system. Makes it really hard to compete and get into the end zone and get that confidence back up. And again, with an errant pass from the Pride that gets D'd by Atlanta.
Yeah, Anderson with the run through there.
Nice break pass and a great catch by the Atlanta Soul player in the end zone there. Another break for the Soul.
That's the second nice inside throw for a score by Naomi Anderson.
So by my count, I have the Pride with 6 turnovers in this half, and Atlanta with just 2. That's a tough ratio.
Yeah, Atlanta is just playing cleaner ultimate at this point. That's kind of what it just comes down to. But credit to them. They tightened up the defense. They're running through everything, and then like I said, they're not giving the disc back. They smell blood in the water, as they say. They're looking to put this one away.
They are.
I mean, there's still a lot of time left. We're still about halfway through the third quarter, but Pride really got to work on some of those fundamentals to right this ship.
All right. We got Schrader with the pool. And that's Perry to Phillips. Again, looking for clean options of cutters in the middle of the field, and they're just hard to come by right now. That put Phillips in power position, and Marsalek is trying to run that disc down, but the defense is able to close on that.
Anderson is all over the field these last couple points and makes a really, really nice defensive play there on Marsalek, who's very, very good in the air. But
on paper, they got the pass out, they got somebody into power position, put up a nice deep look to somebody running deep, but yet they weren't able to convert it. Soul have the full 80 to go to see if they can get another break in this second half.
Had Schrader going. Schrader's coming back under now.
It's Jones over to a couple passes off now on the far sideline. Another inadvertent collision. The Pride defense with the Soul player. That's Marsalek on the Pride defense. I'm not quite sure who the Soul player is.
Looks like that's Anderson out there.
That is Anderson.
A lot of collision, or a lot of contact on that. And contact that was low, those are always really scary.
Very scary.
Looks like Anderson's taken an injury sub.
Definitely like to try to avoid. It's tough when teams are trying to dig in deep and, get a turn back and just trying to step it up defensively and being a little more aggressive. She is going to be issued a card for that.
Yeah, you're kind of riding that line between aggressiveness and over-aggressiveness, and when you're in the competition like that and you get going like that, sometimes those things happen. Looks like Marsalek's also going off. It's like replaced by Andresian.
Looks like there are a couple substitutions. Is there a couple substitutions happening?
Yeah, we had an injury sub for both teams. It doesn't look like any more outside of that, just some good discussion. Looks like that's Bradham that's coming in for the Soul. That's going to be picking up the disc.
And Andreessen's on her then. Yep. All right, we're back into action now. Bradham looking for anybody who can help out. And
Looked like a high stall. Needed to
high
get something to
stall.
the end zone. Rachel Mass was there.
Phillips with the disc now. This is an O point for Pride. They've been broken a couple times in a row now. And Rowell didn't have a lot of good options there and tried to put a pretty tough break throw out and got a little too wide. Bradham with the disc now, looking for some good options. Defense is right on the back, but unable to challenge that disc. That throw was off the hands of Schrader. Pride will have another O opportunity here.
Really good defense on both those undercuts by Bailey Perkins and Rachel Mast. Eventually the second one leading into a turnover.
That throw was overthrown to Rowell, and Andreessen tried to pick up on the backside of that, but it was too far out. So again, another turnover. I've actually lost track in this particular point how many turnovers there have been.
Yeah, this is one of our longer points. Looks like we're coming in just under 2 minutes left in this third quarter. And third quarter that's been pretty well dominated by the Soul.
Very much so. Wow, Bailey Perkins got in there and got her fingertips on that disc. But Mayer from the Soul was able to come down with it and keep her feet in bounds.
Yeah, really impressive play there by Meyer.
Raul on the D there, but I think a foul was called.
Looks like an uncontested foul there.
Again, I can see the Pride fighting hard here, but they're just not getting to these discs as readily. Mind you, it's their O-line that's out there doing that work. Schrader up the line to Emma Jones for another Atlanta Soul score.
Yeah, Emma Jones is one of those players that the Soul coaches wanted to shout out, saying that looking to have a pretty good game. Gets the score there.
So by my count, we've had 5 breaks by the Soul in this second half. They're up 18-12 over the Pride. That point had a fair amount of turnovers for both teams. But overall, it's on the Pride right now to hold possession.
Yeah, got about a minute left, so if they can get a quick score, maybe they can get another shot, maybe getting a break to end this quarter. Or if they can hold on to it, possess it, and then take it into the fourth quarter, try and right some of those issues that have been plaguing them in this quarter.
The sun is starting to really drop out of the sky here now. Temperature's down to 77. I see there are lights for this field. I don't think we're going to need them, but be a little curious if we're going to need a little help once the sun dips a little further.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting trying to track discs that are coming from this direction with the way that sun's beaten. It's very easy to get disc lost in the sunlight.
And I think the wind has pretty much died down. I don't think the wind is – I know we haven't even talked about it in the second half yet.
Yeah,
It's
haven't seen too much about it at all or needed anything about it.
Turner swings it to Pruitt. Graham calling for the disc up the sideline. Looked at the deep look, but decided to holster that.
Yeah, it was probably a good call.
Good choice.
Lexi Thomas in the same third. That's going to be a hard one to make, even for the best throwers. Pick was called downfield.
We are down to about 26 seconds left in this third quarter. Whoever has possession of the disc will maintain possession once the clock reaches 0 until either a turnover happens or a goal is scored. That's a lefty backhand by Turner on that reset. Pruitt up to Perry, back to Turner, up to Cunningham. Cunningham again gave that deepish look a thought, but holstered it.
You have to think when you're going down like this and having so many breaks that some of those things start to creep into your head of do I want to make that throw?
Exactly.
It looks like a timeout called by the Pride.
Timeout Pride. I'm not sure if it happened on before that pass or not, but I'm sure the observer will sort it out.
Yeah, it looks like they're coming in middle of the field, maybe 5-10 yards outside of the end zone.
Let's see if we're going to do any subbing here or if we just called the timeout for strategy reasons. Pride could really use this point, and they're knocking on the door. They're in the red zone.
Yeah, coaching staff recognizing that this is a pretty crucial one to get. And we only have 8 seconds left in the quarter, so there's a decent chance that this is the last point of the quarter. So they really want to make sure that they get this and don't give it back to the Soul
Get the best
with the opportunity to score at
they
the
can.
end.
Exactly.
For sure. Looks like maybe a sub, but only maybe one. I see Rachel Mass is joining the huddle, so it looks like she's coming on. Otherwise, the line looks pretty much the same.
I didn't see who came off for Mast.
Looks like, I believe it was Lexi Thomas.
Yes, I
Looks
do
like
see
she
Lexi
came
on the
off.
sideline now.
Put in a lot of good work cutting in that point. Really were running a person around. Let's see if the players can reward the coaching staff by punching this one in.
Cunningham with the disc, Booth on the mark. Gets it up to Mast to a wide open Turner. Seals the score. That's got to feel good to finally get the disc in the end zone.
Yeah. At least get something positive going. We got it looks like we got 2 seconds left, so there's going to be at least one more point in this quarter. And it seems like it's going to be the Souls to lose as far as this point.
There was a no-turn point for the Pride, too, I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember a turnover. Had a timeout called, but I don't think there was a turnover in that point.
Yeah, it looks like Mast, when she was going in on that undercut, really pulled the defender, got a poach to come over, and then had the presence of mind to look up and find the wide open Mary Turner in the end zone.
Yep. Pulling the defense one direction, counterattacking the other way. It's always a good general philosophy.
Change the point of attack.
It's one of my favorite strategies. If you can accomplish it, you can do great things. See what the Pride can pull out on their defense here. Mal Griffith with the pull. Cunningham is still out there for this D point, as is Maddie Pletzky.
Yep. So with that, the quarter ends. We'll play out the possession. You hear the Atlanta players shouting out possession, possession. They recognize that they just got to hold on to the disc. And this, they don't have a chance to give it back.
Booth with the disc. Over to Jones. The Pride is throwing a bit of a zone here. Arcing throw over the cup. Allowed for that forward pass to happen before the defense could settle in again. Schrader to Booth, over the top again. No pass comes off after that over the top. Looks like the Soul could play this over the top game, though, all the way into the end zone.
I mean, just surgical through that zone.
Surgical.
Really carving it up with a bunch of those high release, those insides. That's just textbook zone offense.
13 total turns, I think, in that point. Only 4 of them I can count toward Atlanta, however, which largely explains the 5 break points that the Soul were able to earn during that third quarter.
Yeah. Atlanta won that quarter 8-2.
That's a big third quarter right there.
That's a very, very big third quarter. We'll see if Pride can answer with some sort of run on their own coming into this fourth quarter.
I want to take a moment to recognize our Spin Ultimate sponsor. This live broadcast of the Premier Ultimate League is brought to you by Spin Ultimate. Spin Ultimate, providing custom team uniforms and ultimate apparel since 2007. Visit Spin on the web at spinultimate.com.
I'm also going to take a second to shout out a local sponsor. This season, Pride is supported by our official team sponsor, CUDA, the Columbus Ultimate Disc Association. CUDA is a nonprofit organization that was created in 2000 to help develop the sport of ultimate in and around Columbus, Ohio. CUDA promotes the sport of ultimate in a social atmosphere in which players can learn and teach the sport. Though CUDA places tremendous emphasis on playing by spirit of the game, it also fosters a competitive environment to accommodate high-level play. You can sign up for leagues by heading into their website at columbusultimate.com. Big thank you to CUDA, always supportive of the Pride, always looking to give shout-outs and all that good stuff, and puts on some pretty great leagues.
Absolutely. Those leagues have been around. How long have those leagues been around?
CUDA's been around since 2000, so.
I was going to say it's been at least 20 years, so.
Yeah, there you go. All right, let's see if the Pride can right this in the fourth quarter. Maybe take control, maybe get a couple of breaks back. They are starting on offense, so they get a shot to come out and set the tone early. Maybe get a quick score, get their defense back out there to start chipping away into this lead that Atlanta has surmounted, at least in that third quarter.
12 minutes of work.
12 minutes left in the season. Let's have some fun.
There's nothing against that says they can't pull an 8-2 quarter as well, right?
Absolutely.
Perry with the disc on the near sideline. Having trouble finding an open receiver. Sees an open space that Mary Turner can run to and puts a well-timed pass into that space. Turner with the disc just outside of the end zone.
Sometimes it's not about throwing to people, it's about throwing to places.
And I think those are both instances of that. Both those passes were to places and receivers were able to go get them.
It's Marshalik with the goal. She's back out there. Good to see her back out there.
Indeed it is. It's a no-turn point for the Pride. Brings the score to 14-19 in favor of the Atlanta Soul.
Yeah, and that throw by Turner, when it left her hands, it looked like it was, that throw to Turner looked like when it left the thrower's hands that it wasn't really to anything. But Turner saw the space.
It's out to green grass.
Yeah.
But it was to the right side. Mary was on that side of her defender, and there was no one else in that space. That's the value of a throw to space.
Absolutely.
So we've got Morrison, Pletsky, Griffith, Pruitt, Graber, Andreessen, and Marsalek out there for the Pride D. A nice pull. Grinder's going to pick that up for the Soul. To Booth in the center of the field. Waves off that first cutter. Squeezes it, the reset into Griner. Gets it over to Brzezinski. Bradham to Griner. Does not let the big throw go off. High release to Booth. Hits the under to Kingsley. Back over to Booth. With the casual grab. Hits the lefty. Griner had it in her hands, but could not hang on to it.
Mal Griffith right there to collect it.
The Pride have an opportunity right here to get one of those breaks back. Graber with the disc. Looking hard to get a reset. Gets it finally over to Pruitt in the middle of the field. It's good eyes by Pruitt to see the poach that occupied the space that Pletsky was cutting into.
It's like an uncontested foul on the mark. Stahl's coming back to one.
Hits Graber back to Pruitt. Needed an undercut in that moment. It came a little late. Marslick with the disc on the far sideline. Pruitt's kind of running in every other right now for the Pride. Puts up a big, and somehow Marslick gets the disc just outside the end zone and an easy toss to Pletsky for the break.
Yeah, it almost looked like nobody thought that this was going to make it, or everyone thought it was going to go over their head. And Marslix put her hands up and said, "Thank you very much."
I think she had a little bit of a "this is a gift" look on her face.
Hey, sometimes when things are going the way that they are right now, you take any gift that you can. And that's a break for the Pride.
That is a break.
Not a whole lot of time has gone off the clock, and Pride have scored the first two out of into the fourth quarter. Let's see if
exactly
they can keep that rolling.
The change in momentum the Pride are hoping to hang on to here.
Yeah, get this crowd involved.
Let's see
Start
if they
feeling good on defense.
The crowd is definitely thinned a little bit, but it's still pretty healthy in terms of the number of people up there. Imagine many people have gone back over to the park where the Poultry Days Ultimate Tournament happens. People camp out at the park. I imagine it'll be a long night for some folks over there.
I'd imagine it will be.
Pruitt puts up the pool.
Looks like Anderson's back out there as well. Good to see as well. Also involved in that collision earlier.
I think she's got a little knee wrap on.
Ooh, Pruitt almost gets it.
Schrader puts a disc up to a wide open Cashin, who has the disc about 10 yards out from the end zone. Looking for a reset. Finds Anderson in front of her. Right back to Cashin for the score. Probably not the defense that the Pride wanted, but that big pass kind of put them at the disadvantage for defense needing to catch up.
Yeah, started chasing a little bit, and this offense has shown that they get a little bit of momentum going, and they're pretty hard to stop. I'll tell you, if you didn't show me the records of these two teams right now, I would not expect that. I mean, this is a one-win and a no-win team. They're putting on a good display. They're playing for a lot.
I agree. Like their fight in this game, you know, which essentially at this point in the PUL season is just wrapping up two team seasons for them. But both these teams, as we talked about at the start, came into this wanting to continue to build on their programs, which includes finishing strong at the end of a season, but also laying that groundwork as essentially the start of the next season.
Yeah. Even when you're eliminated from contention in the postseason, the work doesn't stop. It's just, like you said, you're just building, and they're looking to build into a strong next season. But we still got about 9 minutes left in this season. We'll see if Pride can close the gap, maybe make this one a little bit closer towards the end.
Cunningham pushes it up to Raul, to Mast. Mast sees the open cutter in Turner and puts the disc way out in front. And it's a great reception for Turner in the end zone. That's a 3-pass offense, no turn
Mary
for the
Turner
hold.
in the sweet J Jordan cleats, burning down the sideline.
When we have the games out at Fortress Obets, that's one of the ways I can identify Mary Turner from way up in the booth that sits way up high there is by those cleats.
Yeah, really great pass by Mass, and Mary Turner is an expert reader of discs.
And, you know, that's a skill, right, to recognize that an offensive cutter is on the deep side of their player and understanding where you need to put the disc, not throwing it to that player, but rather out in front of that player because they are the only one who can go get it. I see the Pride coaches still coaching over there on the sideline, the players that are out right now. And as we were talking to, the push for both of these teams to finish the season strong, when I asked the Pride coaches about any message for the team going into this game, they said that the message has been the same. It's always been every game. They changed nothing going into this game in terms of how they process the team, getting them ready. It's a big throw by Bradham, and again to a defender that is way on the other side of their, or an offensive person that's on the far side of their defender. It's not in the end zone, but that pass to Anderson does put them in the end zone. That's a 2-pass offense.
Yeah, when you get an opening pass like that puts you right on the doorstep, it's not a whole lot of work to be done getting into the end zone. It was a very nice pass. And, I don't know. I didn't catch how the receiver got that open, but I want to say it was probably a really well set up cut.
I would agree. Sometimes those setups really put the work in on the front end, makes the back end really easy.
And as a thrower, can't ask for more. You love to see that when your player is running with steps. Just gives you so much room for error to make that throw. Not having to throw a perfect throw, just having to throw it out in front of them.
You know, that's what we coach our players, though, right? We coach that as a cutter, you want to do everything you can to make you the best option for the thrower and make it easy on the thrower. And see the little Ferris wheel in the background now on the screen. Festival is still going strong back there.
Yeah, they love their festival. There's all the games, all the rides. And even better is, I don't know if you can see, there's a house in the background that had a slip and slide going on, and one of the Atlanta players actually was on the slip and slide before the game.
That's pretty epic. Cunningham up to Raul. Sees Mass breaking free from her defender. Out of bounds, was not able to toe the line there.
Yeah, tried to toe the line, but unfortunately, just a step out of bounds. Atlanta got 80 yards to go.
You know, that was really good defense. The defense was tight enough that the thrower had to push it further up the field, and that caused that throw to turn. It's a big throw to Marsalek. Grabs it with just one hand of fingertips. I think just two fingers, perhaps.
Just the fingertips. Played really good defense on the strike cut. Forced it to be deep. Was able to go get it on the other end. Really nice pass by Jenny Perry there. Kind of put it up high, and where she knew that her receiver, Delaney Marsalek, was really good in the air. Knew that she would be able to go and jump and get it rather than trying to throw it to her. Let your receivers make good plays.
So it's been actually a relatively clean fourth quarter so far. I've only logged 3 turnovers, for 2 for the Pride and 1 for Atlanta. Had several holds, but the downside to that is for the Pride is that's not resulted in enough breaks for them right now. They've only had 1 in this quarter, so they're down still by 5.
Our PA announcer trying to get the hometown, we'll call it hometown crowd, hyped up. See if they can pull their Pride. Hopefully do another break chance. Start building those breaks because we're running low. We're just under 8 minutes left to go in the game.
Disc is in Quincy Booth's hands. Defense is working hard, trying to cut off all the options. Putting the disc up high to Quincy, though, really kind of cuts through all those.
Looks like
defenders.
The Pride was in a little bit of a poachy set, a switchy set, and they're just now finding their matchups. Maybe a little bit of miscommunication on some of those passing off of players.
Oh, and there's an errant throw that Quincy is not able to catch.
You don't see that very often, at least in this game. If you're the Pride, you got to capitalize on this. When some of those rock-solid players give you opportunities like that, you can't let them off the hook.
Mel Griffith rips a big one out to Pletsky, but that is going to travel too far. And there were 2 defenders ahead of Pletsky on that.
Yeah, it looks like one of the defenders, looks like that may have been Anderson, peeled off when she saw the throw go up. Very smart
As
defensive
play. As a good
play.
defender should.
Absolutely.
Helping out your teammates. And that's an errant throw to give the Pride yet another chance in this point.
Cortez with the layout just can't quite get it.
Morrison with the disc, resets it back to Pruitt. There's a timeout called.
Looks like a timeout by the Pride. Back on H.G. Morrison having the disc. Coaches recognizing that this is one of those break opportunities on their attacking third of the field, hoping to cash in.
We're going to see a few substitutions here, I would imagine, for the Pride, just for that reason alone, to make sure that they have some good offense in there.
Yeah, sorry, sounds like the stream went down a little bit. We're back. We should be back now. Shockingly, the internet connection out here in Versailles, not always the best.
Not the best.
But hey, we appreciate them and for their hospitality, letting us use this field.
Do we know how long it was down for?
30 seconds.
Okay, just a short time. Just wondering how much we might need to recap you, our live stream audience.
Does look like Pride subbed a good amount of their line, potentially a full sale sub. Getting what looks like an offensive line out there, see if they can cash in on this break.
Centered to Cunningham. The Soul are putting a little bit of a zone on. And Graham just doesn't get her hands on that disc and turns it back.
Yeah, pretty smart by the Soul to come out in the zone. You know that the offense is looking to set up some sort of play. You can run a zone, make them think about it, but then they turn it over, and Graham looks for Pruitt, trying to track it over her head.
Wow, that was pretty epic to watch Pruitt look left and look right and look left and finally found it and was able to track that disc down in the end zone.
Yep.
That's a break for the Pride. So several turnovers in that point. But the Pride persevered and got that point and got another break back.
Isn't always pretty, but when you can get opportunities and you can get those breaks, hopefully that's a good way to get back into this game. Again, another one of those rival connections. There's a good amount of players on this Pride roster from the rival program. Also, we got some with the Cleveland Crocs, Columbus Chaos in the mix scene, and actually just a lot of players from around a bunch of different areas. That's something the coaches talked to us a little bit about before, is that, you know, with them having a pretty diverse roster in terms of players, a lot from Cleveland, a lot from Michigan, from Columbus, I think even some maybe from the Pittsburgh area, it's really hard to try and get that chemistry. So they really work on trying to get everyone assimilated, because everyone's coming from such different backgrounds and different areas. Everyone plays it a little different.
I mean, the basics are all the same, right? Run, catch, throw. But how you do that on the field will always vary. I hear the Pride players on the sideline really yelling out to their teammates out there, trying to encourage them and get them in the right position defensively. The Soul being patient here. And as soon as I say that, they put up a big throw to Bradham from Jones.
Jones with a very well-weighted backhand, floated right over Mal Griffith, who looked like had the position to maybe catch it underneath, but the throw was well placed, right over her head and right into the receiver's arms.
So that makes the score 22-18. The Soul are up.
Yeah.
I'm realizing that the standard scoreboard across the field that we're using for the fans here in the stands doesn't accommodate scores up into the 20s, because that's a scoreboard that's built for a standard USA Ultimate type tournament. You wouldn't expect any of those scores to reach the 20s. So that scoreboard currently reads 2-18, but we all understand it's 22-18.
Yeah, and the Pride are slowly making their way back into this game. Unfortunately, it just seems like they might run out of time. They're really going to have to string together a couple of these breaks in order to get moving. You know, they're having some trouble. They're getting a break. They're getting one other break. But they just can't seem to get multiple in a row, which is what they're going to need to do in these last couple minutes to really get back into this.
So we've got just under 5 minutes to go in this game. So to that point, while the Pride want to play clean offense and a patient offense, they might have to do it with a little bit of pace.
Yeah, you don't want to get too reckless and just throwing things downfield, but you know, you have to have that little sense of urgency. And with that, it looks like the Soul does go into a zone.
Forces
Very smart
more
by
throws.
them. Force a lot of throws, not let them have those deep shots. Pretty smart tactical move by the Soul. Try and waste as much time as possible.
Against the zone, it's really hard to have a 3-pass offense.
And just like that,
Graham finds Turner. Over top of the zone. Feeds it to her up that same sideline, but Turner reads it and gets the score for the Pride.
Mary Turner in the end zone. What else is new? And again, very nice throw by Graham Cunningham. Set it perfectly so it didn't trail out of bounds and right into the hands of a receiver.
Another thing to note in a PUL game versus a USA Ultimate game is as I'm keeping track of turns and when these scores are being made, you know, we're in our 41st point of this game.
That's, you know, going on at least 1.5.
1.5, close to two.
Close to 2 games.
Sort of standard games, standard tournament games.
And I mean, we're used to playing, you know, 4, 5, 6 games, you know, usually even 6 or 7 games in a weekend. But when you have to play them back to back like this, you know, it's really taxing on the legs and taxing on the body. That's something that's a unique challenge that's something that these professional games have, is with this time, is that, you know, it's really test of the conditioning and of the cardio and of the stamina, not only physically but mentally. You know, when you're getting 40 points into a game, it's a bit of a mental struggle sometimes, especially with the ebbs and flows of some of these games.
Raul has a lot of energy left. She came down and almost intercepted that first pass off the pole. That pass puts the Soul out in front of that Pride defense. We're seeing that defense recover a little bit of that. Booth with the disc now swings her lefty backhand to the other side of the field for a relatively easy score for the Soul.
Yeah, once you get that one pass through the zone, get the zone on its heels, it's really easy to try and hit those lanes because the lanes open up pretty quickly. Booth finds Wilson for that crossfield. And Atlanta's cruising.
Cruising.
Atlanta is cruising. About 3.5 minutes left. Still a 5-point game.
So while the Pride have gotten a couple breaks back, with the time that is left, it's pretty critical for them to get a hold at this point and try to outpace the Soul to see if they can rack a few more up here.
Yeah, really got to dig deep in these last couple minutes. Clamp down that defensive pressure and give it everything you got. Because this is all that's left.
That's all that's left. This is the end of the season for both of these teams. Soul come back down in that zone look. Forces the turn from the Pride.
Yeah, just some miscommunication, mishap in the reset space.
Soul are about 20 yards out from the end zone. Out to Schrader. Back over to Ortiz, back around, back to Ortiz. Schrader with the disc again.
And a timeout called.
The Soul call that timeout. I think the coach noticed that there wasn't a lot of action. So we're relying just on a few reset passes to keep possession of the disc. So taking the time out there to see if he can clean things up.
Yeah, hopefully get a good timeout end zone play called. Some sort of ISO, something like that. Just try and free up some of their cutters in space. Maybe get a couple of subs as well. As we're winding down here, we got to start picking our player of the game. I'm sure you have a couple people in mind.
Well, don't be so sure about that. Let me do some thinking.
I'll get back with you about it.
Let me see who I'm thinking about here.
There's been a lot of pretty good individual performances today.
Both teams are coming out of this timeout right now. It's Jones with the disc over to Schrader. Looking to see what kind of action they can get going here out of that timeout. To Jones, feeds it to Schrader, and there was a pick called, so that's going to come right back.
Looks like a pick going by the mark.
I think that's often an under-called pick, that when you get run through the person with the disc or the mark, people fail to call that pick, but it is indeed a pick.
Yeah, those near strike cuts are sometimes the place that happened.
Anderson with the around pass to Schrader. Schrader backs it out to Anderson, back to Schrader.
Pruitt and Perry working together on that handler reset, doing some switches.
We've got 2 minutes left to go in this game, and the errant pass, and the Pride get the disc back.
Anderson looking for that inside forehand for a third time. That one just a
Mass
little
with
bit
the
too far.
disc. Hits Plesky on the under. Looking for some action downfield. The action is not there. Hits a reset to Graham, who finds Turner up the line. Turner rips a backhand, but it's just a little too out in front of Marsalek.
Just a bit out in front. Looks like a couple of those throwers got caught where the receivers are clearing, cycling, and so they didn't really have a whole lot of options when they first looked up. Turner had one just a little bit out in front. Coming on just under a minute and a half left in this game. Atlanta's got 80 to go.
Anderson to Schrader. The deep cut was there, but Schrader held on the deep throw and hit a nice medium pass to Kingsley. Kingsley to Jones. And Jones rips a big pass to Ortiz. Mast is there and is able to D that disc.
With authority, smacks that disc to the turf.
We are down to a minute left to go in this game.
Looked like Ortiz had a pretty good read on that one. And Emma Jones with the poach block and a foul called on the throw. Uncontested.
Uncontested foul call on the throw.
That was a great poach there. This goes back to Jenny, though.
Big throw. No real receiver in the vicinity. Defense is able to knock that down pretty readily.
Marsalek was the closest, but it looked like that was just a throw out to a receiver and hoping that they're going to come, go get it, but just didn't have good position for it.
Looks like there's a decent chance this game is going to end on this point.
Yeah, coming on 30 seconds left. Marsalek with the D.
Pride turns it right back over. We're down to 20 seconds.
Seems like the Soul are recognizing the time and just
they
playing
just need to hold on to it. And that turnover is just about as good as hanging on to it.
And with that, it does sound like our buzzer has gone with the end of the game.
And that is the game. Where are we with our potential player of the game?
So I can see we both have a couple people marked. We got a couple of really good players on both sides. I think the Soul really had some of those, really easy works through the zone, those kind of things. And I know we had a connection that was going on a lot, but I think we got to give it to the one that was orchestrating the offense the most.
Hands down.
Our lefty, Quincy Booth. Congratulations.
Tall lefty, high release backhands. Folks releasing it high to her and able to get her the disc over the top of defenders, over zones.
And with that, we got the end of both of these two teams' seasons. However, starting next weekend, we have championship weekend.
We
Very
do,
excited.
in fact, have championship weekend, and the championship weekend for PUL will be happening in D.C. June 17th and 18th. You can go online and find tickets to that if you feel like you want to get out there and see some great play. We'll see the D.C. Shadow, the Minnesota Strike, the Raleigh Radiance, and the New York Gridlock out there competing, trying to win the Premier Ultimate League Championship.
Yes, it'll be very exciting. We got 4 really great teams battling it out. I'm sure it's going to be great to watch. I'm looking forward to it. But for us,
I think that's it for us. It's been great working with you, Joey. It's been great to be out here in Versailles, Ohio, and congrats to both teams on their final.